Part 11. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 101. This process cannot be interrupted, and the spiritual energy in the body must be supplied at all times. Once it is interrupted, or the spiritual energy cannot be supplied, the formation will fail to be drawn. The spirit detection formation is a relatively basic formation, and Shenyazi successfully figured it out after practicing it a few times. After activating the formation, step forward and stand in the center of the formation. In an instant, the entire formation enveloped her like a beam of light. In the light pillar, little bits of spiritual energy were revealed. Aura is originally elusive, but with the help of this formation, it can be made visible and colored. Red corresponds to fire spirit root, green corresponds to wood spirit root, blue water spirit root, yellow earth spirit root, gold golden spirit root, cyan wind spirit root, purple thunder spirit root, black dark spirit root, milky white healing spirit root. In the vast world, there are many kinds of spiritual roots. Yu Chaim took the opportunity to popularize knowledge about spiritual roots with Shenyazi. When testing the spiritual roots, the color of the aura surrounding the person in the formation corresponds to the spiritual root. The density of the aura is related to the affinity of the aura. Looking at the dense milky white aura surrounding Shenyazi's body, Yi Chang was both surprised and expected. It's just that among the countless milky white aura light spots, there seem to be a few silver light spots mixed in. Silver represents the spiritual root of time. That spiritual root is countless times rarer than the healing spiritual root. Just when I looked at it again, those silver light spots disappeared again. Is it his imagination? Shenyazi was not very surprised when the healing spirit root was tested. It seemed that he had expected this for a long time, but it was only confirmed now. Okay, now teach me the art of endless life. The longer the time passes, the more serious the transformation of Ganwu and Li Dachun's corpses will become. She must learn this spell as soon as possible to remove the death energy from their bodies. Okay, I'll pass it on to you right now. Yu Chaim did not write any ink, and directly transmitted the magic key into her sea of consciousness with spiritual consciousness. In the side room, Aunt Li, who was sleeping soundly, seemed to have received some kind of call, so she got up straight and went out. Mom, what are you doing? Li Chuntao asked confusedly. Relieve yourself. Aunt Li's voice was a little erratic. Li Chuntao didn't notice anything was wrong and continued to sleep. Although she is very worried about her elder brother, she is very sleepy now after working hard all night. Not long after, Aunt Li came back, lifted the quilt and lay down on the bed again. Asterisk. It's been a day, why hasn't Himiang come down yet? Is she going to be okay? Aunt Li was running in circles in the yard. Especially listening to the collisions and roars coming from the house, I felt increasingly uneasy. He Buzzy comforted her with a warm voice, Auntie, Miss Shen has extraordinary medical skills. I believe she will definitely develop an antidote. Don't worry. Aunt Li forced a smile. At this moment, Shenyazi appeared, and Aunt Li rushed to greet her, looking at her expectantly. Shenyazi smiled and said, Auntie, I already have a solution. Great. Ji Niang, Da Chun will be left to you. You must save him. Aunt Li held her hand and said. Don't worry. Shenyazi patted her hand. By the way, why haven't you seen Qingbao? Aunt Li asked. I was afraid that he would be frightened, so I asked him to stay in the house and not come out. How can Qingbao stay alone in the house? What if we bump into each other? If you are worried, just leave Qingbao to me. Shenyazi thought that this was in his own home, Aunt Li was not an outsider, and it would not be good for Qingbao to stay alone in the space for a long time, so he agreed. Okay, I'll go and bring him out right away. Shenyazi went back to the small building, released Qingbao from the space, and brought Qingbao down from the upstairs. Qingbao, please be obedient to grandma and don't be naughty. After a few instructions, Shen Yizi began to remove the dead energy from Jianwu and Li Dachun's bodies. Perhaps because he had taken the pills she gave him before, Ganwu's endurance was much stronger than that of ordinary people, and his willpower was not generally tenacious. So up to now, I am still holding on, not completely transformed into a corpse, but still retaining a trace of sanity. As for Li Dachun, his wound was treated promptly and the poisoning lasted for a short time, so his current condition is not bad. Comparatively speaking, Ganwu's situation was more critical, so Shen Yizi treated him first. In the courtyard of the inner courtyard, Aunt Li accompanied Qingbao and teased him from time to time. "Qingbao, come and eat some sweets." Aunt Li took out a honey-colored sugar pill and fed it to Qingbao. Qingbao didn't refuse either. Seeing this, Aunt Li's eyes were filled with joy. However, what shocked her was that Qingbao spit out the sugar pill in the next moment. "Bitter," he commented. Aunt Li's expression broke down for a moment, and her eyes turned into vertical pupils, but she soon returned to her previous kindness. The little white frog hidden in Qingbao's sleeve seemed to be aware of it and moved slightly. "Qingbao, Grandma has something interesting to show you." Aunt Li took out a palm-high transparent bottle. "Look, what's inside." She put the mouth of the bottle close to Qingbao. Qingbao looked inside, and suddenly a huge suction force came from the bottle, sucking his whole body in. As soon as Aunt Li plugged the bottle, Qingbao and the little white frog in his sleeve were locked inside. The Qingbao that entered the bottle looked only about the size of a thumb, small and exquisite, with his eyes wide open, and he was obviously a little confused about the current situation. But he didn't feel scared. Instead, he turned around in the bottle with curiosity. The little white frog jumped out of his sleeve and jumped hard in the bottle, trying to break the bottle and take the little master out. "It's a pity that it's all in vain." Aunt Li raised her lips and smiled evilly. "Save your energy, don't even think about getting out once you're in." In the front yard, Shen Yizi opened the door and said to Kan-san, "Bring Brother Dachun in." In the room, the death energy in Ganwu's body has been removed by her using the technique of endless life, and the remaining poison has also been cured. Then you just need to cultivate yourself for a while and you'll be fine. Kan-san and He Yang worked together to move Li Dachun in, and closed the door when they came out. Li Chuntao sat on a stone bench under the pomegranate tree, praying quietly. After sitting for a while, she felt that it was too anxious to wait like this, so she simply went to the backyard to play with Qingbao for a while. As a result, his mother and Qingbao were nowhere to be seen. "Hey, where did Mom and Qingbao go?" She didn't see them leave. "But there is no back door to this yard, so where did they go?" Outside Ljiazhuang, Aunt Li emerged from the ground and transformed into a handsome and evil young man. It was the Bizu man that Shen Yizi met at the auction before. He glanced back at Ljiazhuang and couldn't help but feel happy when he thought of Shen Yizi's expression when he found out that his little cub was missing. Unfortunately, before he was happy for a long time, a person he had always hated appeared in front of him. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 102. Friend Jean, what a coincidence, we meet again. Asterisk. Shen family. Shen Yizi came out of the house, his face a little pale. Even though she had a spiritual spring to constantly replenish her energy, the continuous use of the technique of endless life still boiled away the spiritual energy in her body. The feeling of running out of spiritual energy is really uncomfortable. She shuffled to the foot of the pomegranate tree and sat down. He Buzzy handed her a cup of tea and looked at her with concern. Sisters Hizi, my mother, and Qingbao are missing. Li Chuntao searched everywhere but couldn't find either of them. When he came out and saw Shen Yizi, he told her hesitantly. The cup in Shen Yizi's hand was suddenly crushed, and the water inside splashed out. What did you say? Auntie, wasn't she playing with Qingbao in the backyard patio? How come she disappeared? She scanned around the yard with her consciousness, and sure enough, Qingbao and Qingbao were nowhere to be seen. She stood up suddenly, but almost fell down. Kun San quickly supported her. But she was thrown away. In her home, under her nose, with so many people watching, Qingbao could actually disappear. This time, she must cut into pieces the person who dared to kidnap Qingbao. Shen Yizi's figure flashed and disappeared in front of several people. Fellow Daoist Zhan, if you want a child, you can have one yourself, why bother kidnapping someone else's? Opposite Zhan Yuchun, Master Chang Feng, dressed in an immortal style, stopped in front of him and persuaded him with a smile. Having one by yourself? Is this a satire on his androgyny? I gave birth to you, uncle. Zhan Yuchun's handsome face instantly turned black. He didn't say a word nonsense, he rushed forward and unleashed his ultimate killing move. That bald donkey ruined his good deeds last time, and this time he came out to hinder him. This time he had to make him shed a layer of skin. Oh, fellow Taoist Zhan, are you angry now? Don't be angry, otherwise your life will be shortened. Chang Feng continued to use his verbal skills to tease Zhan Yuchun. But when Zhan Yuchun was so angry that he was in chaos, he secretly set up a talisman formation. The cycle of life and death, show up. A series of half-person high yellow-backed red character seals were revealed, forming a translucent barrier that surrounded Zhan Yuchun. Zhan Yuchun sneered, "Do you think you can trap me like this? Chang Feng, you underestimate me." At this time, he actually calmed down. Hold his arms across his chest, a snake-shaped thorn appeared in the air in his hand. He held the handle of the thorn, staring at the talismans for a moment, and suddenly stabbed at a certain place. The place he stabbed was exactly the node of the talisman array. At this time, the nodes were destroyed and the entire talisman array ceased to exist. Bald donkey, you've ruined my good deeds twice and 3 times, and I'll kill you next time. Before he finished speaking, his body turned into a wisp of mist and was about to escape. At this time, a cold voice sounded, "Why wait until next time? This time I will kill you." It was Shen Yizi who arrived. At the same time, an extremely fast green light and shadow came over like lightning, and forcefully pulled Zhan Yuchun back, who was about to disappear, and threw him to the ground. Before he broke free, Chang Feng quickly slapped a holding charm on him, making it impossible for him to escape. Shen Yizi stepped on him and asked sharply, "Where is Qingbao?" Even though he was caught, Zhan Yuchun still looked like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water. Hearing this, he raised his lips and smiled. "You want to know? Then let me go, otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen to your white and tender little cub." The fairy vines that entangled him tightened instantly, and they were dug into his flesh. "You are looking for death." Shen Yizi stared at him with dark eyes, and the dragon dagger in his hand fell suddenly, poking a hole in his body. Zhan Yuchun groaned in pain, and the smile on his face became even bigger. It seems as if the injury is not on oneself. Shen Yizi continued to poke, 2 times, 3 times. Not long after, Zhan Yuchun was stabbed into a man, and even Chang Feng couldn't stand it anymore. "Come over and persuade him, friend Dao Zhan, you should release Qingbao, why do you have to suffer this pain? Speaking of doing it for his own good, don't actually look too gloating about his misfortune." Looking at him like this, he still carries it without saying anything. Is he really not afraid of death? Shen Yizi snorted coldly and ordered the fairy vine in a cold tone, "Xiaoxian, it." The instinct of the immortal vine is to devour the vitality of other living things for its own use. Before, it was not easy to attack its own people in the space. After it came out, it was suppressed by Shen Yizi to prevent it from making any grass in a radius of dozens of miles barren. Now that I have her order, I can devour it openly, so why would I hesitate? In an instant, Zhan Yuchun was reduced to a bone and bone. How could he still look like a goddess like Jade before? Zhang Yuchun saw that she was serious, and the smile on his face gradually faded, but he really couldn't let go of that face when he was asked to beg for mercy in front of his old enemy. He pursed his lips and said nothing. Shen Yizi's eyes were sharp and asked Xiao Xian to increase his intensity. In a blink of an eye, Zhang Yuchun was sucked into a human body. He couldn't even maintain his human body and showed his original shape. All the clothes he was wearing were lying on the ground. There was a transparent bottle inside. Shen Yizi picked it up and saw that it was Qingbao and Bai Zioa who were locked inside. Ordinary storage instruments can only store dead objects, but this bottle can actually contain Qingbao, a living person, which shows how extraordinary it is. Even Chang Feng was a little jealous when he saw it. He only had a storage bag. This bottle is Zhang Yuchun's favorite thing. It has a resounding name, called Tian Tian bottle. Swallowing the sky bottle, what a loud tone. Shen Yizi put the bottle away. Looking at the snake on the ground that had been sucked into its trunk, she always felt that something was wrong. Zhang Yuchun could take Qingbao away from her without anyone noticing, so how could he die so easily? Chang Feng said, as far as I know, Zhang Yuchun is extremely cunning. In addition to the technique of double rest, he is also good at the technique of clone. The art of clones. So what I caught is just one of his clones. Probably. Although Shen Yizi felt unwilling to do so, he felt that this was only reasonable. Otherwise, how could a big boss like Zhang Yuchun be killed by her so easily? Humph, clones, right? I want to see how many clones he has. I'll kill each one when I see him. They keep trying to attack Qingbao. If she doesn't crush him to ashes, her surname will not be Shen. After calming down, Shen Yizi put away the fairy vine and said, Master saved Qingbao again. If there is anything I can do to help in the future, Master, just ask. Easy to say, there is one now. Chang Feng was not polite to her either. The formation outside the village has been forcibly destroyed by Shen Yizi, so there is no problem in traveling now. Shen Yizi took Master Chang Feng back home and served spiritual tea and snacks. Master, please sit down for a while. I have some things to deal with, so I have to excuse myself. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 103. It's okay, Donor Shen, the scenery here is quite nice, there is tea and food, and the poor monk is very comfortable. Even so, Shen Yizi still felt a little sorry. Before leaving, he winked at He Buzzy and motioned for him to entertain Master Chang Feng for him. He Buzzy responded with a smile. Shen Yizi did not release Qingbao for the time being, so he let him stay in the sky-swallowing bottle. On the way back, Chang Feng told her that the bottle was a space artifact belonging to Zhang Yuchun. It could hold living things. It was almost as big as a room. Shen Yizi erased the mark of spiritual consciousness left by Zhang Yuchun on it, took the bottle as his own, and then checked it with his spiritual consciousness, and found that it was indeed as Master Chang Feng said. I don't have to worry about Qingbao anymore. Let this kid sit back and think about it for a while. Out of the gate, Shen Yizi followed Yi Chang's instructions and came to a flower bed. Yi Chang said to her, the person you are looking for is right here. Shen Yizi opened the flower garden, and the person lying in it was Aunt Li. I checked her breathing and found that she was just asleep, so I felt relieved. Speaking of which, Aunt Li also suffered an unexpected disaster this time and was implicated by her. Zhang Yuchun disguised himself as Aunt Li and waited for an opportunity to kidnap Qingbao, but she didn't notice anything was wrong at all. Looking at her proficiency in role-playing, she guessed that she had probably played the role of Hui Niang before, but she later noticed something was wrong, so she didn't continue. Such a person who is good at role-playing, can switch between men and women at will, and has countless clones of enemies, always coveting Qingbao, really makes her sleepless and sleepless. If it weren't for Master Chang Feng, he would have succeeded long ago. When she said this, she became angry and took out the little white frog and beat it. You tell me, what's the use of your late-stage first-order strength? Qingbao was kidnapped under your nose twice. The little white frog listened silently and did not refute. Looking at its Buddha-like and cold attitude, Shen Yizi felt tired. Xiaoxian, from now on you will always be with Qingbao. If anyone misbehaves with Qingbao, let me entangle him first. If he dares to resist, I will him. The little fairy is wrapped around Qingbao's wrist like an emerald green bracelet. As for Yu Chang, Shen Yizi glanced at him sideways. What did someone say before? If she dares to come again, I will turn her into a ball of digestion. The words are still ringing in my ears, but it is a pity that Yu Chang failed to do it this time. Here, I'll reward you with this pot of soup. Drink it cleanly for me without leaving a drop. Do you hear me? Shen Yizi took Yi Chang into the space, and what was waiting for him was the pot of soup made from the dried snake transformed from Zhan Yuchun's clone. To be honest, Yi Chang really didn't want to drink it. Who knows what kind of messy and unclean things were mixed in it? Thinking about it makes him sick to his stomach. But he didn't have the guts to refuse. Who told him not to think highly of Qingbao? So who? Yu Chang drank the soup with difficulty while greeting Zhan Yuchun over and over again in his heart. Sent Aunt Li home, comforted Li Chuntao, and Shen Yizi returned to his home. With the mood of thanking Master Chang Feng, Shen Yizi took out some of the ingredients he had collected before: dragon meat, dragon liver, python meat, as well as fruits, vegetables, and livestock raised in the space, and made a heavenly meal. There is a feast like no other on earth. In addition to Master Chang Feng, who was invited to the banquet, He Buzi, He Yang, Kun San, and Qian Wu, who had just woken up, were all on the list. After dinner, a few people moved to the pomegranate tree in the yard, enjoying the cool night breeze, sipping tea, eating and chatting, very leisurely. Shen Yizi looked at Qingbao playing beside him and told Master Chang Feng what happened in the village in the past 2 days. He finally said, Master, in order to kidnap Qingbao, Zhan Yuchun did not hesitate to turn the entire village into a man-eating monster who likes to fish in troubled waters to create conditions for himself. He is so heartless. I hope you can help me take down this beast. Master Chang Feng took a sip of tea and said, Donor, based on the poor monk's understanding of Zhan Yuchun, he doesn't seem like someone who would do such a thing. Shen Yizi did not expect that he would actually speak for Zhan Yuchun. But she believed in Master Chang Feng's character. Since he said so, he must have his reasons. Why did the master say this? Zhan Yuchun's method of killing is very simple. Either he turns into a woman and the man dry, or he turns into a man and the woman dry. Moreover, the targets he attacks are all outstanding-looking people. It is impossible to kill so many ordinary people at once. Start. In other words, those villagers were not qualified to let him take action. Shen Yizi. Master Chang Feng smiled slightly and tasted the spirit tea fruit leisurely, as if he didn't know what speechless words he had said. Shen Yizi recalled his previous contact with Zhan Yuchun, and it seemed that this was really the case. So, Zhan Yuchun just happened to run into the Jiazhuang incident and took the opportunity to fish in troubled waters. Who is it that set up a formation outside the village to turn the villagers into monsters? Chang Feng said, the formation that the man set up was broken by the donor. I think he will come to check it out. We just have to wait and see. Same, that person put in so much effort to set up the formation and turn the villagers into monsters. He must have some ulterior motive. Now that the formation is broken, how can he give up? Okay, then let's wait for him here. If I can't defeat the people behind the scenes, I hope the master can help me. No problem. In a small town more than 10 miles away from Jiazhuang, in the inn room, a middle-aged man who was meditating cross-legged suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were full of disbelief, and he murmured, "How could it be possible? It's impossible." This man's name is Huang Feng, and he is a worshipper of the Zhao family. He has a relatively low status among the worshippers. The reason why he appears here is because the Zhao family sent him here. Zhao Si, who was sent here by the Zhao family to take the lead in opening a medical clinic some time ago, got mad and died for no apparent reason. The master felt that something was fishy, so he sent him here to investigate. He searched again and found out about Shen Yazi, who had been staying at Huishan Hall. After finding out her address, he came to Jiazhuang. It turned out that the spiritual energy in Jiazhuang was particularly strong, and it was not much different from the training room specially arranged by the Zhao family. Moreover, the medicinal herbs and flowers grown in every household also contain a certain amount of aura. He conducted some secret investigation and came to the conclusion that there might be a spiritual stone mine buried underneath this seemingly inconspicuous village. How else to explain what he discovered? When he thought about the spiritual stone mine underneath, he was filled with passion and wanted to take it for himself immediately. Facing the possible existence of the Lingxi mine, he forgot all about the Zhao family and Shen Yazi. If he could get a complete spiritual stone mine, why would he seek refuge with the Zhao family? He took those spiritual stones and found a hidden place to practice. I think it won't take long for him to advance. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 104. When he reaches the later stage of qi refining, who else in the world will be his opponent? At that time, he can walk sideways. Dreaming about the future scene of being powerful and surrounded by beauties, his eyes turned red with excitement. In order to avoid attracting attention and leaking the news, Huang Feng did not act immediately. Instead, he spent a lot of effort and set up a formation outside the village, which could not be entered or left. Then he randomly selected a few villagers and fed them corpse poison. After being fed corpse poison, it will not take long before it completely turns into a monster. The monster has no reason, loses its humanity, and only has an instinctive desire for flesh and blood. In this way, they will continue to bite other people and infect other people into monsters. Soon, the entire village will turn into monsters. When there is no one left to eat, they will devour each other, and in the end only the most powerful monster will be left. At that time, he appeared again and contracted the strongest monster as a corpse slave, asking him to mine for himself. This plan is perfect when you think about it. The progress ahead was quite smooth, but who would have thought that the formation he had set up would actually be broken? In a small place like Langcheng, there are only a few monks, most of them are ordinary mortals. How could it be possible to break his formation? Could it be that other monks are eyeing this place? How could Huang Feng be willing to give up the fat he was about to get? After meditating all night, I repaired my injuries a little, and then I rushed to Jiazhuang. Afraid of being discovered by other monks, he pretended to be a pedestrian passing by and wandered outside the village. It's a pity that no matter how much he disguises himself, he can't escape the perception of Shen Yazi's contracted beasts. Without Shen Yazi's orders, Yi Chang, who was patrolling nearby, let the fairy vines tie him up and throw him into the woods. Shen Yazi rushed over after receiving the news, gave him a specially developed truth pill, and started questioning him. It's not that you can't use the soul-searching technique directly, it's just that once the soul-searching technique is used, the person being searched for the soul will become a fool at best, or lose his soul at worst. If this person is really the person behind the scenes, wouldn't this be too advantageous for him? Are you the one who set up the formation outside the village? Huang Feng replied with dull eyes, yes. Did you turn the villagers into half-human, half-corpse monsters? Yes. Shen Yazi's eyes suddenly burst into murderous intent. The man who wantonly tortures ordinary people and turns them into monsters who only know how to eat people deserves to die. If the monster spreads, the entire Lang city and even the Tianyuan Empire will be affected. It's so heartbreaking. Why are you doing this? Huang Feng revealed everything in detail. Shen Yizi didn't expect that the reason why he did this was actually like this. Just because he suspected that there was a spiritual stone mine buried under Jiazhuang, he did not hesitate to turn the entire village into a living hell. This person is really willing to die. Shen Yizi asked some more questions and learned that he was sent by the Zhao family to investigate the cause of Zhao Xi's death. A chill ran down his back. The Zhao family actually suspected the cause of Zhao Xi's death and approached her. If she kills Huang Feng in front of her, there is no guarantee that the Zhao family will not send anyone else. Furthermore, Huang Feng actually suspected that there was a spirit stone mine buried underneath just because the spiritual energy in Jiazhuang was relatively strong. It seemed that she would have to take more defensive measures in this regard in the future. It would be best to set up a formation around the village and make a disguise to guard against the monks. Yu Chang asked, "What are you going to do with this guy in front of you?" It would be a bit troublesome to kill him, and it would be too easy for him not to kill him. How about treating him as a slave contract? Then let him do whatever you want him to do, and leave some difficult things to him. Once he resists, a single thought from you can make his life worse than death. Shen Yizi was a little disgusted. But I have to admit that Yi Chang's method is good. I immediately forcibly contracted Huang Feng. Huang Feng still wanted to resist, but unfortunately his spiritual consciousness was far from Shen Yizi's opponent. How could he resist? After signing the contract, Shen Yizi had a thought in his mind, and Huang Feng held his head and rolled on the ground in pain. From now on, I will be your master. If you have any evil thoughts, I will let you die without a burial place. Shen Yizi said a word lightly. Do you know how to report when you return to Zhao's house? Huang Feng's heart was boiling with hatred, but now his life and death depended entirely on her thoughts, so how could she dare to resist? I know, master, don't worry, I will definitely not let the Zhao family doubt you. Very good, go ahead. After Shen Yizi returned home, Master Chang Feng glanced at her and said, "It seems that the benefactor has solved the problem." The poor monk originally wanted to contribute so that he could continue to have an excuse to stay and eat. Shen Yizi smiled and said, "Master, you can stay as long as you want. The monster incident has come to an end, but there is always an atmosphere of sadness in the village." Shen Yizi could only try his best to make more compensation in terms of materials. Although Huang Feng was the culprit, she was the one who attracted the people, and the aura in the village also came from her. She didn't feel she had done anything wrong, but she still felt guilty. In the space, Shen Yizi's internal skills were running smoothly, and 3 of Yi Chang's figures were surrounding her, practicing together with her. 1 person and 3 pets form a simple spirit returning array, which is like a whole. This practice will be more effective. When practicing, time always passes very quickly, and a night passes in the blink of an eye. Shen Yizi opened his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. Finally passed the initial stage of qi refining and successfully advanced to the 4th level of qi refining. After breakfast, Shen Yizi checked He Buji's pulse and said, "The cold poison in your body has been completely eliminated. In the future, you only need to continue rehabilitation training to get back on your feet." But when the day finally came, He Buzi was still excited beyond words. Thousands of words finally converged into 2 words, "Thank you very much. When you really stand up, come and say thank you to me." Shen Yizi said to He Yang, "Now I will teach you a massage technique that will help your son recover. Please watch carefully." He Yang nodded heavily, "Yeah." Shen Yizi rolled up He Buzi's trouser legs, and just as he was about to put his hand on it, he was interrupted by Gan Wu. "Girl, why don't I do it? I'm very familiar with the acupuncture points on the human body. If you tell me, I'll do it. He smiled enthusiastically and wiped the sweat silently in his heart. If the master knew that Miss Shen personally massaged Mr. He, would he explode? The master wrote a letter specifically last time, asking him to pay close attention to all male creatures approaching Miss Shen, and not to let them take advantage of her. Otherwise, he would be allowed to enter the palace and serve the queen in the palace. Those who can serve the empress are eunuchs besides palace maids. And of course he cannot be a palace maid, so he can only be a eunuch. Master is so cruel. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 105. The night he received the letter, he had several nightmares in succession, in which executioners were approaching step by step with special tools to cut off his little brother. He was so frightened that he almost ascended to heaven. Since then, it has left a deep psychological shadow. So, he must never let Miss Shen be so close to another man. In order to defend his innocence and for the sake of his lifelong happiness, he must resolutely prevent this situation from happening. Shen Yizi glanced at him, a little doubtful. Are you sure? Sure, just tell me, I promise to complete the task. Shen Yizi saw the eagerness on his face and didn't stop him. Okay, then you can do it. He buzzy, do we need to consult him as the client? Shen Yizi told Qinwu one by one the acupuncture points that needed to be massaged, as well as the amount of force he should use. Ganu did a great job indeed. Shen Yizi looked at He Yang aside. Have you written it all down? He Yang nodded. Okay, then you can give your young master a massage in the morning and evening. When your legs regain feeling, you can try to walk on the ground. Shen Yizi said a few words and left. When I went home, I saw Qingbao playing with a puppy. Where did this puppy come from? This is a gift from Grandma Zhao. Qingbao came over with the little puppy in his arms. Shen Yizi remembered that Mrs. Zhao had indeed said before that her dog was about to give birth and she would give her one. She touched the puppy. It was furry and felt good to the touch. Let's give the dog a name. What does the baby think is good? Shen Yizi asked Qingbao for his opinion. Although he is still young, she has been consciously cultivating his independent thinking ability. Qingbao and the little puppy looked at each other, and the puppy barked in a milky voice. Woof woof, Qingbao repeated. Wang Wang. Well, not bad. The little guy will be called Wang Wang from now on. Shen Yizi agreed. Master Chang Feng, I wonder if I can ask you for some advice. Shen Yizi walked towards Chang Feng, who was lying under the pomegranate tree to enjoy the cool air. Chang Feng seems to be really addicted to living here and has no intention of leaving. However, Shen Yizi was very happy. Master Chang Feng is very powerful and a Buddhist master. Even if he lies down all day doing nothing, he is still a great who can control the house and intimidate Xiao Xiao. Zhan Yuchun kidnapped Qingbao twice before her eyes, making her sense of crisis stronger than ever. She felt that she had to improve her strength as soon as possible. You can't be in a hurry when it comes to your cultivation, you have to practice step by step. But cultivation does not equal strength. Her actual combat ability still has a lot of room for improvement. Since there is such a ready-made master like Master Chang Feng, why not take the opportunity to ask for advice? Xiao Shen, I think the crystal elbow you made yesterday tastes very good. I wonder if I can still eat it today. After getting to know each other, Chang Feng affectionately called Shen Yi to know Xiao Shen. He stopped calling himself a poor monk and called me directly. Shen Yizi was secretly amused. Of course you want to eat it? How about making you a steamed chicken with lotus leaves and rice flour? Well, when he first learned that Chang Feng was not a vegetarian, Shen Yizi was quite surprised, but after thinking about it, he felt it was nothing. If you have Buddha in your heart, why should you care about what you eat? If you don't have a Buddha in your heart, what's the use of being a vegetarian all day long? The two of them agreed and came outside the courtyard. Chang Feng stood there, Ba Feng remained motionless, and Shen Yizi took the initiative to launch an attack. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't even get a piece of Chang Feng's clothes, let alone cause any harm to him. This is even if he didn't take action at all. If he really took action, she might be defeated in just one meeting. But she was not one to admit defeat. Even if she was blocked again and again, she still rushed forward again and again. After fighting for a long time, the clothes on her back were soaked with sweat, and she was finally able to get close to him and give him a slap. Chang Feng only used 3/3 of his strength, and Shen Yizi tried his best. However, the result was that Chang Feng stood firmly on the spot, while Shen Yizi kept retreating and gasping for air. Xiao Shen, haste makes waste. After fighting for such a long time, it's better to rest for a while. Also good. Qingbao was originally sitting on the threshold holding Wang Wang in his arms, watching the sparring with interest. Seeing Shen Yizi stop, he immediately ran over and took out a handkerchief from his pocket to wipe her sweat. Shen Yizi felt warm in his heart. He squatted down and watched the little guy wipe his sweat seriously. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. The baby is great. She never hesitated to praise Qingbao. Even if nothing happened, she would praise him a few times, not to mention that he was so considerate now. Mother is great too, Qingbao returned the favor. The two girls blow rainbow farts to each other here, which is so sweet that it's so sweet. After eating Shen Yizi's crystal elbow and steamed chicken with lotus leaf vermicelli, Chang Feng was even more attentive when discussing with her, and even gave her some guidance from time to time, which benefited her a lot. Her actual combat capabilities have been greatly improved. At night, while practicing in space, Yi Chang asked her, "Did you forget something?" "What?" "Restore your appearance." Shen Yizi raised his eyebrows. "Of course I haven't forgotten it, but it's not appropriate to do this yet. I want to grow the pingyang flower in the space for a while, and then it will be more effective as medicine. Secondly, in order to restore my appearance, I have to cut open the disfigured half of my face again and then apply ointment. The ointment needs to be changed every day, at least for 7 days. It's best to rest for these 7 days, but now I want to take advantage of Master Chang Feng still here to practice more with him to improve my combat effectiveness." Yi Chang suddenly realized, "Oh, that's it?" However, Chang Feng could not stay longer. After receiving a summons, he left Jiazhuang in a hurry. He didn't even have time to bring the food prepared by Shen Yizi for him. Looking at his hurried away figure, Shen Yizi realized that something big must have happened. Otherwise, with his greedy temperament, how could he let go of the delicious food? Now that Chang Feng is gone, he doesn't need her to worry anymore, so Shen Yizi plans to start making facial rejuvenation cream to restore his appearance. In fact, she is now used to wearing such a disfigured face. The mood to restore appearance is not as urgent as it was at the beginning. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the hospital received a patient who was beyond her expectation. "Why, you are surprised to see me? Didn't you ask me to come to you?" "The person coming is not Han Beiluo. Who is it?" Compared with before, the Han Beilu in front of him seemed to be a completely different person. The body has lost a lot of weight, and the 3-tiered chin, swimming ring, and elephant legs are all gone. She is just a slightly fat girl now. The skin is no longer greasy, but white and delicate. The depression that originally lingered on my body dissipated, and my whole person became much more cheerful and confident. It seems that the bottle of weight loss pill she gave her earlier worked. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 106. To be honest, Shen Yizi didn't expect the effect to be so good. But seeing this scene, she was still quite happy for Han Beiluo. Yes, Shenyazi walked to the clinic and sat down. Sit down. Li Chuntao poured a cup of tea and placed it in front of Han Beiluo. Han Beiluo was not thirsty at first, but the tea soup was clear and translucent, and the aroma was fresh and refreshing. He couldn't help but pick it up and take a sip. Stretch out your hand. Shenyazi unfolded his pulse pillow. Oh, Han Beiluo quickly put down the teacup. Feeling his pulse, Shenyi knew, as I said before, you have always been fat and irritable. There is a reason. You were poisoned, and your heart was poisoned. After being poisoned, you smelled the fragrance of the beauty flower. He will become irritable and angry out of control, and he will do impulsive things if he is stimulated by words. As for obesity, it is just incidental. The suspicion in his heart was confirmed. Han Beiluo's face turned pale and his throat became dry. The person who poisoned her, you know without even thinking about it, it was either Luo Shi or Han Beokan. In short, there is no way to escape this mother and daughter. They took away the dowry left by her mother, took away her mother's position as the main wife, and took away her father's favor. It was not enough. You want to harm her like this. Han Beiluo clenched his fists tightly, his nails digging into his palms, but he didn't feel any pain. If the Luo mother and daughter were in front of her at this moment, she might not be able to control herself and rush forward to tear their hypocritical and disgusting faces to pieces. At this moment, a warm voice sounded in her ears, like a clear spring gurgling into her heart, calming the fire in her heart. The best revenge is not to gnash your teeth and feel sorry for yourself here, but to reach a height that the other party cannot reach, to appear in front of them with the best attitude, and to make them envious and jealous. Han Beiluo pierced his eyes hard to push back the tears in his eyes, and looked up at her. You are right, I will definitely make that mother and daughter pay the price they deserve. Very good, now let's talk about the medical fees. Han Beiluo's eyes widened slightly. Why did the topic suddenly turn to medical fees? What, you come to me for medical treatment and you don't want to pay the medical fee? Han Beiluo quickly shook his head. Of course not. But I don't have that much money now, can I dash? No, you have money. Shenyazi's eyes fell on a pearl hairpin on her temples. Yu Chaim told her that the pearl inlaid on the hairpin was actually a spirit-gathering bead. The spirit-gathering bead can gather spiritual energy, and it is still a good treasure in this secular world. You can give me this hairpin as a medical fee. Han Beiluo touched the hairpin in a daze and took it off. This hairpin is really ordinary, the beads inlaid with it are dull and lackluster. Han Beokan doesn't like it, which is why she can keep it. She stroked the hairpin and said, this is the last relic left by my mother to me. She bit her lip, very reluctant to give up. Shenyazi did not expect that this was a relic left to her by her mother. In this case, it would be difficult for her to ask for it. Otherwise, who would she be? However, to be able to possess the spirit-gathering pearl, her mother was probably not an ordinary person. Here, write an IOU, just as I read it. Shenyazi pushed the pen and paper over. Han Beiluo simply couldn't keep up with her thoughts, and she kept thinking. But after reacting for a while, she laughed and grabbed the pen. Okay, I'll write. Han Beiluo, O Shenyazi, a treasure of heaven and earth on XXXXXX, and I shall return it within 3 years. Looking at the IOU, a smile spread across her lips. Shenyazi took the IOU and asked, you still smile so happily because you owe me something? Han Beiluo shook his head, it's because I found that Dr. Shen, you are a good person. Shenyazi. I was issued a good guy card for no apparent reason. But it doesn't feel bad. Okay, don't think that if you please me, I will cancel the IOU. Next, I will detoxify you, acupuncture and medication, which will take about 5 days. There is a small building behind our medical center specifically for it's a place where patients can be hospitalized. The price is favorable and the environment is elegant. You can consider it. While Shenyazi was prescribing the prescription, he also gave her some relief. Han Bailuo thought of the Han mansion where he had no place at all, and felt that even if he disappeared for a few days, no one would find him. And during the detoxification period, she didn't want to return to Han mansion, lest the Viper and Scorpion mother and daughter find out that she was detoxifying, which would cause trouble. So he agreed. Of course, hospitalization expenses are indispensable, 100 yuan a day. Han Bailuo suddenly felt bitter because she had no money. Dr. Shen, Sister Shen, can it be cheaper? Shen Yazi rejected her coldly and ruthlessly. When Han Bailuo was frustrated, he said again, but you can work to make up for it. Han Bailuo's eyes suddenly lit up. Okay, what do you want me to do? Don't worry, you'll find out soon. Since then, Han Bailuo has lived in the hospital, and he Buzzy have become neighbors upstairs and downstairs. That night, Shen Yazi entered the space, took out all the medicinal materials that he had collected before, and made a rejuvenating ointment. The rejuvenating cream is a semi-condensed cream, which is pink and tender, like the touching color on the tip of the peach petals in March. Afraid of scaring Qingbao, she waited until he fell asleep before applying the medicine to herself. In front of the dressing table, Shen Yazi sat on a brocade stool, holding a scalpel and cutting off the scars on the right half of his face bit by bit. Although the toxins in her body have been removed, there is still a little bit left in the necrotic skin. It must be completely removed, applied with ointment, and a new layer of skin can be restored. Otherwise, even applying medicine will be of no use. Since she had taken specially developed painkillers in advance, she could not feel any pain now. She could only feel the cold blade scraping her skin. She scraped off the layer of necrotic flesh with an expressionless expression, then quickly and evenly applied ointment, wrapped gauze, and wrapped the wound tightly. The next day, when her image appeared, both Ganwu and Kun San were startled, thinking something had happened to her. I'm fine, I'm just repairing my appearance. In a few days, you will see a brand new me. Shen Yazi winked at the two of them. Qingbao thought she was injured and wanted to reach out and touch her but was afraid of hurting her. Shen Yazi warmed her heart. She held his little hand and kissed it. Baby, I'm fine. It's true. You'll be here in a few days. You will see a beautiful mother. Mother beautiful. Ha ha ha, our Qingbao is really discerning. Mother and son began to exchange daily blows again. On the other side, in the medical clinic, Han Bailuo just got up, walked to the window and stretched out. She felt that this was the most peaceful sleep she had ever had since her mother's death. The spirit is full as never before. After putting on her clothes and washing up, she stomped downstairs. When she saw Hebuji sitting in the living room quietly reading a book, she subconsciously slowed down her steps. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 107. Seeing him looking over, Han Bailuo raised a big smile and said, "Good morning." He Buzzy smiled and nodded, "Morning." Li Chuntao came to work at the medical clinic early in the morning. Now she is a regular employee of the medical clinic, earning 1 tael of silver per month. Food and accommodation are also included. She is extremely satisfied with this job and is full of vigor and energy when she comes to work every day. She put on blue overalls as soon as she arrived and started doing some hygiene. Sisters Hizzy once said that the most important thing in a medical clinic is to be clean, so as to leave a good impression on patients. Han Bailuo stepped forward and asked, "Miss Chuntao, is there anything I can do?" Dr. Shen said yesterday that she would be allowed to work to pay for the hospitalization fee. After staying here for one night, she completely fell in love with it. What's the point of doing some work? At home, she was called the eldest daughter. In fact, her life was worse than that of a maid. She lived in the most remote and simple courtyard and ate vegetables and white porridge. Luo Shi also said that he was doing it for her own good, so as not to cause her to become fatter. Thinking about those things made her angry. Forget it, what do you want them to do? What they did to her, she would have to pay back sooner or later. Li Chuntao also knew that Shen Yazi asked her to work to pay for the hospitalization fee, and she did not refuse. Please help me get a bucket of water. Good. The two of them worked together to clean the inside and outside of the hospital. Li Chuntao cooked the porridge and took the vegetable basket. Miss Han, let's go to the vegetable garden to pick vegetables. Okay. Han Bailu walked over and took her arm. After a sanitation session, the two have initially established a friendship. You should just call me Bailu, and I'll also call you Chuntao. How about that? Okay. When he arrived at the vegetable garden, Han Bailu was shocked. It's so big. The vegetable garden in front of you is 1 or 2 acres in size, with all kinds of vegetables, melons, and fruits. At first glance, you can see a green patch of green, and the fragrance of fruits and vegetables fills the tip of your nose. Since it is still early in the morning, there are still crystal dewdrops hanging on the vegetable leaves. Han Bailuo felt extremely novel about everything he saw. He followed Li Chuntao as he walked among the fields, looking around and exclaiming from time to time. There are many vegetables that she doesn't recognize at all, but that doesn't hinder her enthusiasm. She felt a sense of surprise every time she saw the fruits and vegetables hidden among the thick green leaves. Li Chuntao took her to the eggplant field. These eggplants are growing well. Let's make a stir-fried eggplant and green pepper dish in the morning. Is this an eggplant? It's so big and beautiful. Han Bailuo had seen eggplant before, but the eggplant in front of her was much plumper and more beautiful than what she had seen before. It had a slender body and bright purple skin, like a beauty wearing purple clothes. She picked 3 in one go and wanted to pick them, but was stopped by Li Chuntao. These are enough, one can be used for a whole plate of stir-fry. I can't finish it even if I pick so many. Let's go over there and pick some green peppers and cowpeas. Good. Han Bailuo has fallen in love with the feeling of picking vegetables. The two of them each picked a full basket, and then they returned home with satisfaction. Han Bailuo noticed a high thorn wall in the distance and couldn't help but ask, are vegetables grown there too? No, there is a medicine garden over there, and all the medicinal materials are grown by Sisters Hizi. Han Bailuo nodded, wanting to take a look. Li Chuntao saw it and said, I'll take you there after dinner. A batch of licorice and honeysuckle happened to be ripe in the past 2 days, so we need to pick them and process them. Han Bailuo suddenly became excited. Entering the kitchen, Han Bailuo helped Li Chuntao pick and wash vegetables. Although he was not very skilled at what he did not make any big mistakes. Li Chuntao cooked 2 dishes quickly, cut a plate of salted duck eggs and a plate of pickled cucumbers. By this time, the fragrant white porridge was almost ready. Li Chuntao took out the 2 eggs that had been buried in it, washed them and soaked them in cold water so that they could be peeled later. Sitting down at the dining table, Han Bailuo looked at the simple but sumptuous table of dishes in front of him, feeling a little dazed. She also had a share of credit for these dishes. Smell good. Really, eat quickly. Li Chuntao gave Han Bailuo a piece of pickled cucumber and said, have a try. Sisters Hizi made it herself. It's sour, spicy, and crispy. I can eat 3 big bowls of rice just by eating it. Han Bailuo took a bite and his eyes lit up, it's so delicious. Eat more if it tastes good. Sisters Hizi said that the hospitalized patients must be fed and drunk so that their illness can heal quickly. Ah, I forgot to call Mr. He. Han Bailuo suddenly remembered. Li Chuntao smiled and said, don't worry about him. He eats at Sisters Hizi's place every day. Oh, I'm so envious. Han Bailuo felt very satisfied after eating the fragrant rice porridge, authentic local eggs, and fresh side dishes. Chuntao, your cooking is also delicious. The implication is, why should we envy others? Li Chuntao looked at her with some sympathy. You don't understand how delicious Sisters Hizzy's cooking is. Being able to eat her cooking is simply the most enjoyable thing in the world. Han Bailuo didn't believe it. Is it that exaggerated? Li Chuntao didn't say much. You'll know after you eat it. Not long after they finished breakfast, Shen Yizi also came to work at the hospital on time. There was a medicine box slung on his shoulder, and Qingbao was in his hand. Sisters Hizzy, King Bao, you are here. Li Chuntao was washing clothes in the yard and greeted the two of them warmly. Shen Yizi responded with a smile. Seeing the gauze on her face, Li Chuntao couldn't help but asked with concern, Sisters Hizzy, what's wrong with your face? Shen Yizi explained again, and Li Chuntao suddenly became happy for her. Sisters Hizzy, when your face recovers, you will definitely be very handsome. It's so sweet if you put honey on your little mouth, Shen Yizi joked. Li Chuntao said with a serious face, I am telling the truth. Sisters Hizzy, if you can give birth to a child as handsome as Qingbao, it will definitely not be far behind. Shen Yizi couldn't help but laugh. She still had Qingbao's credit for her feelings. Qingbao had already reached the washing tub and knelt down to help Li Chuntao. Actually, I just took the opportunity to play with the water. Shen Yizi didn't restrain him either. Han Bailuo watched the two of them chatting familiarly from the side, feeling a little envious. As a result, Shen Yizi suddenly looked towards her and asked, are you used to living here? She said, get used to it. I like it here very much. That's good. Shen Yizi took out a porcelain bottle and handed it over. This is the detoxification pill I made for you. There are 10 pills in it. You take one pill every morning and evening. During the process of taking the pill, some impurities will be discharged from the body. It's all normal. After 5 days, the poison will be eliminated from your body. Han Bailuo held the medicine bottle and responded solemnly. Follow me, I'll give you acupuncture. Shen Yizi walked towards the lobby. Han Bailuo hurriedly followed. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 108. Giving Han Bailuo acupuncture was far less laborious than giving He Buji acupuncture. Shen Yizi finished it in less than half an hour. Okay, you go take a bath and rest for a while. During the acupuncture process, Han Bailuo's body surface was covered with a layer of sweat, and the sweat was mixed with a greasy stain, which had a pleasant smell but was nowhere to be found. Han Bailuo blushed, stood up, thanked him, and ran upstairs with his head down. There is a bathroom upstairs and downstairs. You can directly open the wooden plug of the bamboo pipe connected to the shower, and the hot water will flow out, which is very convenient. After giving Han Bailuo acupuncture, Shen Yizi had nothing to do and simply looked at the trial manual. Earn points at skilled locations. Relieving the cold poison in He Buzi's body, points add 188. Removing the corpse poison from Ganwu's body, points add 100. Removing the corpse poison from Li Dachun's body, points add 50. The income is relatively objective, but these days, the daily consumption of 10 points still makes her a little stretched. The consumption of maintaining space is okay, but it is far from enough to save a little to buy the right to use the space permanently. And the current area of the space is far from what she expected. What she wants is a complete world that belongs to her alone. For this goal, she has to work harder. Sisters Hizzy, come and see, Li Chuntao suddenly called out. Shen Yizi thought something was wrong and hurriedly walked out. Sisters Hizzy, why is the bottle in Qingbao's hand never full? Li Chuntao pointed to the small transparent bottle in Qingbao's hand, his eyes full of surprise. The small bottle Qingbao is holding is the same one that Zhan Yuchun put him into that day. But now the bottle has been taken by Qingbao. She has her own space, so another space magic weapon is useless, so she can just use it as a toy for Qingbao. Just enough for him to pack toys, food, and all kinds of treasures that he collected from nowhere. After Qingbao got the bottle, he liked it so much that he took it with him wherever he went. Now it is used directly to fill water. The water poured in, didn't it wet everything he put inside? This naughty kid. Shen Yizi felt his hands were itchy and wanted to spank his butt. This is a kind of mechanical bottle. Although it is small, the capacity inside is not small, Shen Yizi explained, barely dispelling Li Chuntao's suspicion. Qingbao, look at you, your sleeves are wet again. Shen Yizi slipped Qingbao into the house, temporarily confiscated the bottle, and then taught him how to read. Qingbao, you are already a mature baby. You can't just play all day long. You have to study hard and make progress every day. Do you know? Come and master this 1,000-character novel, and my mother will return the small bottle to you. Qingbao is almost 3 years old, but because he eats well, sleeps well, and is constantly nourished by spiritual energy, his body shape is as good as that of a 3 or 4-year-old child, and his intelligence is no less than that of a 5 or 6-year-old child. That's why Shen Yizi asked like this. I want to kiss and then study. Qingbao is in Shen Yizi's arms. You little rascal, I have learned how to bargain with my mother, but how can I bear to refuse our cute and invincible baby? Hold up his chubby little face and kiss him on the forehead with a loud sound. Qingbao's big eyes were as bright as small suns and he kissed her back loudly. Then he sat down next to her obediently, opened the book, and began to read seriously. The sky and the earth are dark and yellow, the universe is vast, the sun and the moon are waxing and waning, and the stars and constellations are arranged. She taught her a sentence, and he would repeat it in a cooing voice. The articulation is clear, the cadence is ups and downs, and the emotion is very abundant. It is completely different from the previous milk baby who could not tell the difference between the flat and curled tongue. It can be seen how much transformation he has undergone under the nourishment of spiritual energy day after day. Is this Shen's medical clinic? Doctor, please save my mother. A man ran in sweating profusely with a woman on his back and said anxiously to Shen Yizi. Put her to bed. Shen Yizi took the man into the nearby consulting room, which had beds to facilitate diagnosis and treatment of patients who were unable to move. The woman's complexion was golden white, she was holding her stomach and kept crying out, rolling in pain. Shen Yizi checked, where do you feel the pain? Here, or here? The woman pressed her right lower abdomen and was speechless. Shen Yizi asked the man a few more questions and concluded that the woman was suffering from acute appendicitis and needed to be removed as soon as possible. You go out, I'm going to treat your mother. Shen Yizi called Li Chuntao in again and asked her to be his assistant. The two of them put on snow-white coats outside and worked together to carry the woman into the operating room next to her. In the operating room, Shen Yizi has already set up a cleaning array to keep the room clean at all times. This was the first time Li Chuntao worked as an assistant for Shen Yizi, so she was inevitably a little nervous. Shen Yizi encouraged her, don't be afraid, I'm here. The nervousness in Li Chuntao's heart disappeared inexplicably, well, I'm not afraid as Sisters Hizi is here. However, the next second, her eyes widened in shock. Sisters Hizi, she actually cut open the woman's belly. The woman who had been fed anesthetic pills had closed her eyes and was lying quietly, completely unaware of what Shen Yizi was doing to her. Li Chuntao looked at the area in the woman's stomach, feeling frightened and nauseated. Shen Yizi was always calm, cutting off the suppurating parts with clean and neat movements. Bring the basin. Li Chuntao was stunned for a moment and hurriedly handed the basin to her hand. Watching her throw the part into the basin, she resisted the desire to vomit and turned her head to one side. After sewing up the woman's abdomen, Shen Yizi said to Li Chuntao, clean her up. Huh, oh, okay. While cleaning, she looked at the finely stitched wound on the woman's stomach. She felt a little frightened. She applied very little force, fearing that the wound would open again accidentally. Sisters Hizi, if you separate the belly and sew it up, will it really not kill someone? Shen Yizi was washing his hands when he heard the words and couldn't help but smile. How could it be? Once those gut strings grow back, she will be fine. She will be able to eat and drink as before, without any hindrance at all. Oh! It feels so profound. Is she considered cured? Well, she'll be fine once she wakes up after the medicine wears off. Shen Yizi took off his white coat and hung it on a hanger nearby. Is it that simple? Li Chuntao felt a little incredible. Yes, if you want to learn, I can teach you. Shen Yizi said with a seductive tone. For some diseases, Western medicine is indeed much faster and more effective. If the disease can be spread to more people can be cured, right? She has no idea of self-preservation. Li Chuntao subconsciously wanted to refuse. She was not afraid of killing chickens or even pigs, but she was more embarrassed if she was asked to use a knife on people. But then I thought about it, if I could learn Sisters Hizi's skills, would I be able to make a lot of money in the future, so that my mother and eldest brother could live in a big house and live a good life? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 109. Sisters Hizi, I'm very stupid. I'm afraid I won't be able to learn. Li Chuntao tugged at the hem of her clothes. There is nothing to be afraid of if you are stupid, as long as you are willing to learn, it will be fine. Shen Yizi patted her head. Well, then I am willing to learn from Sisters Hizi, Li Chuntao said firmly. Okay, I will teach you when I have time in the medical clinic. In this way, Li Chuntao has learned how to do it. If she has to go out for something in the future, she can take care of her. Shen Yizi opened the door and went out, and the man immediately came up to him. Doctor, how is my mother? Your mother is fine. When she wakes up, she can rest in bed for 2 days before she can go back. I will prescribe her a prescription to strengthen her body so that she can recover faster. Okay, thank you doctor. The man thought that his mother was going to die this time. After all, he had tried so many doctors before but they couldn't cure her. Dr. Su from Huishun Hall asked him to come here and give her a try. Unexpectedly, it was in the hands of Dr. Shen, and he was cured within a quarter of an hour. Her medical skills are really amazing. Li Chuntao moved the woman to the ward at the back, and the man followed her step by step. He tried to help her several times, but was rejected by Li Chuntao. Even though she is thin, she is quite powerful. Putting the woman gently on the bed, Li Chuntao said to the man, sit down for a while. If you need anything, just ring the bell on the bedside. The man nodded hurriedly. Watching Li Chuntao go out, the man sat down by the bed and looked at his mother who was sleeping peacefully, feeling happy in his heart. After a while, Li Chuntao came in with another pot of tea. If you are thirsty, pour yourself some tea. Okay, excuse me, girl. Li Chuntao smiled and said, you're welcome. At this time, the man had time to take stock of the environment in the room. The walls are painted white, the tables, chairs and cabinets are all brand new, and the floor is paved with flat blue stones, spotlessly clean. Window screens are all made of fine yarn. The sunlight from outside came in, making the room bright and bright. Okay, this house is better than he lives in his own house, and is not worse than the house in the town's home. The man felt a sense of wonder in his heart. But he didn't dare to move around for fear of damaging things in the house. Staying by the bed, looking at her comatose mother. It was almost noon, and Li Chuntao and Han Beiluo started preparing lunch. Shen Yi knew, prepare 2 more people. Okay. In the ward, when the man saw his mother waking up, he hurriedly stepped forward and asked, Mom, do you still feel pain? The woman subconsciously touched her belly, and immediately her face was filled with shock and disbelief. It doesn't hurt anymore. It seems that Dr. Shen really didn't lie to his son. Mother, are you thirsty? I'll give you a cup of tea. The man poured a cup of tea over and carefully fed the woman to drink it. After drinking the tea, the woman looked around. Son, where are you? The man told his mother everything that had happened before. The woman nodded. At this moment, the aroma of food came over, and the woman's stomach rumbled. The man stood up immediately and said, Mom, are you hungry? I'm going to ask if there is any food here. The result was a positive answer. When he came back, the man was carrying a tray with 2 dishes, 1 soup and 2 large bowls of rice. Stir-fried vegetables with lard residue, stir-fried eggplant with beans, tofu and fish ball soup. The dishes are relatively light, but there is enough oil, which is much better than what they eat at home. And the rice is still a big bowl full of white rice, which smells delicious just by smelling it. The woman was shocked. Why do you eat so well? How much does it cost? The man smiled and replied, Mom, my son asked me just now. Miss Juntao said that the meal fee is included in the consultation fee, and the consultation fee is 300 yuan in total. This is much lower than the woman expected. That Dr. Shen is a good man. A disease that no one else could cure was cured by her treatment. She also provided meals and the consultation fee was not expensive. The man smiled naively and said, My son thinks so too. Mom, you eat? He picked out all the lard residue from the vegetables and put them into the woman's bowl. Don't worry about me, you eat too. As soon as the food entered their mouths, both mother and son were shocked. Is the dish with enough oil and water so delicious? It's more delicious than the meat they stew during the Chinese New Year. The mother and son were already hungry, so they speeded up and ate deliciously. After eating, the man put away the bowls and chopsticks and carried them out. He brought in another bowl of medicine and said, Mom, the medicine is ready. You can drink it while it's hot. Miss Juntao also gave me a plate of candied fruits. The woman was a little surprised, and she felt more and more that the people in this medical clinic were nice. I'm so old, why should I eat candied fruit? I'll keep it and take it back for Gauden and the others to try. Whenever the old man gets something good to eat, he always thinks of his juniors. Mom, this medicine is bitter. If you take 1 piece, there will be a lot more. When the woman saw that there were several pieces on the plate, she did not refuse. After drinking the medicine, the woman asked the man, Son, did the doctor tell me when I can leave? I feel that my body is already healed and I don't feel any pain at all. I still have a lot of work to do at home. When Shen Yazi came, he happened to hear these words and walked in and said, Madam, although you are fine now, it is best to lie down and rest for 2 days to prevent the wounds on your body from opening. The woman didn't expect that she was so young, so she felt a little nervous for a moment. The man hurriedly said, Doctor, don't worry, I will let my mother rest for 2 more days. He then said to the woman, Mom, just listen to the doctor. There are still 2 brothers and 3 brothers to do the work at home. Don't worry. That's okay, I'll rest for 2 days. Shen Yazi took a look at the woman's condition and saw that she was recovering well, so he didn't stay long. 2 days passed by and the woman completely recovered. She thanked Shen Yazi and went back with her son. After returning to the village, the villagers saw that the woman was completely recovered. She still looked like she was about to die from pain like 2 days ago. They were all surprised and started asking questions. The woman and the man greatly praised Shen Yazi's medical skills, and also provided Amway with the wards and food in Shen's medical clinic. Dr. Shen is not only highly skilled in medicine, but also kind-hearted. He doesn't charge me a penny more for consultation. If any of you get sick in the future, you can all go to her. Shen Yazi naturally didn't know this, but after the woman left, patients kept coming to see her. There are even people who come to see what the women say about the wonderful ward. And everyone who has seen a doctor here cannot fail to praise Shenyazi. From one word to another, the reputation of Shen's medical center slowly spread. Shenyazi also became busy because of this, and there were constant patients every day. 5 days passed, and the poison in Han Beiluo's body was completely eliminated, but she still continued to stay here, not even asking for wages, just to stay here. When Shenyazi was teaching Li Chuntao, Han Beiluo was also listening. She found that Han Beiluo was more talented than Li Chuntao in medical skills, so she simply accepted her as a student and taught her together. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 110. On the day of removing the gauze, Yi Chang was even more excited than Shenyazi himself. In the end, she sent the 3 contracted beasts and Qingbao into the space, without giving them a chance to watch. Yi Chang snorted angrily, "Are you afraid that you will be too ugly and scare us?" Shenyazi's beautiful lips curved, "You think too much." She just wanted Gu Swiding to be the first person to see her appearance. The gauze was taken apart layer by layer, and when her appearance was completely revealed, Shenyazi was struck by how beautiful she was. With such an ostentatious face, it's no wonder he was disfigured. She couldn't help but touch her face, unable to look away. Before just looking at the left half of her face, she felt that the original owner was a beauty, but now that her appearance has been restored, and when it is fully revealed, the impact of this face on her has increased exponentially. It's beautiful, but this face is not the original after all. Logically speaking, when she suddenly saw herself with such an unfamiliar face, she should feel a sense of horror and discomfort. However, there is none, not even a trace, and there is even a feeling that I have always looked like this. Obviously she didn't look like this in her previous life. Do you like the new and dislike the old to this extent? Just because the current face is much more beautiful than before, so you accept it without any psychological burden? Shenyazi felt that he was not such a person. She stared at the soft, cute, pure, and charming face in front of her with pleasure. After admiring it for a while, she stopped, took out the disguise mask she had prepared in advance, and put it on her right cheek. The originally gorgeous beauty suddenly changed back to her previous disfigured face. Sigh, in order for Gu Swiding to be the first to appreciate her unparalleled beauty, she should continue to be a disfigured beauty for a while. When she entered the space, both Yi Chang and Qingbao couldn't wait to run over and stared at her face. "What's wrong with your face? Could it be that the restoration of appearance failed?" Yi Chang's snake face changed. He was afraid that she would be sad, so he racked his brains to comfort her. "It doesn't matter. Anyway, we are used to seeing your face. If you regain your appearance, we might not be used to it yet." Shenyazi hit him on the head and said, "Don't you want me to be nice? You're used to it. Do you want me to be so ugly all the time?" Qingbao hugged her neck and placed a soft kiss on her face. "Mother is not ugly, mother is beautiful." "Well, as expected, my Qingbao is the most considerate." Shenyazi rubbed his cheek. Yu Chang observed her carefully and made sure that he did not see any trace of depression or sadness on her face. Could it be that the failure of the reconstruction was such a shock to her that it caused her to become emotionally disturbed? Shenyazi saw that his entire body was full of confusion and entanglement, so he stopped teasing him and told him the truth. "Yu Chang, it is true that there is no human nature for people of the opposite sex. The first thing I thought of when I regained my appearance was men, and I even hid it from my son and friends like them." Yu Chang crawled away silently. He should try his best to be a single snake who is free from worries and happy. As for Qingbao, he has no awareness of beauty and ugliness. It doesn't matter how his mother is the most beautiful in his eyes. Early in the morning, Shenyazi put the dishes on the table, and Buzzy came to report on time. But this time he did not come in a wheelchair, but walked step by step. "Is your leg healing?" Although the poison in He Buzzy's body has been cured, his legs have shrunk for so many years. Even if he keeps training, it will take a month or two to recover, right? It turns out it's been less than half a month, right? Yes. Did it scare you? He Buzzy came to the table, held the edge of the table, and sat down slowly. Compared with before, his whole person seemed to have been brushed away from a layer of dust, becoming clearer and clearer. Even the hair is filled with joy. No, I'm just a little surprised. Congratulations. Shenyazi filled a bowl of porridge and handed it over. He Buzzy curled his lips and smiled, his eyebrows brightening. After breakfast, He Buzzy said, actually, when I came to Jiazhuang this time, in addition to seeking medical treatment from you, I also want to ask you for something. What? Shenyazi took off the bib from Qingbao's neck. Your master, is she okay? Huh, Shenyazi didn't realize who the master he meant was for a moment. He Buzzy lowered his eyes and sighed, I have been looking for her in the past few years, but there has been no news. Until that day, you sent 3 pills to Tianbao Pavilion to participate in the auction. Oh, it turned out that the master he mentioned was referring to the cheap master who healed demons that she recognized by chance. Listen to his tone. Do you know my master? She had thought that the demon doctor had disappeared for 3 years, and from shopkeeper Joe's description, he was a very mysterious master. Very few people had seen his true face, so if she pretended to be his apprentice, she would not be fooled. Easily dismantled. It didn't take long before an old acquaintance who healed demons came to the door. He Buzzy nodded, his eyes clearly softening, your master once saved me, and we became friends later. Originally, she said she would tell me her real name and reveal her true face in front of me when she came back from the imperial capital. But who would have thought that after that time, there would be no news from her? I have searched in many ways over the past 3 years, but I still can't find anything. There was no clue, she just disappeared into thin air. Shenyazi looked a little strange, since you are friends, why does he even hide his true appearance and identity from you? He Buzzy held his forehead and smiled, she said she was too beautiful, and she was afraid that I wouldn't be able to control myself after seeing her. If I rejected her, it would hurt our feelings. It's better to keep a pure friendship. Shenyazi's mouth twitched, this medical devil is really narcissistic. Etc. She looks so beautiful that I can't hold it back. Is it possible that the demon healer is actually a woman? She always thought that the demon healer was a man. Didn't your master tell you about me? He Buzzy felt like she didn't understand any of this at all. Shenyazi said without changing his expression, Master, although she has accepted me as her disciple, we have only been in contact for a short time. Master only occasionally comes over to give me guidance. He Buzzy thought about it and felt that this was indeed something she could do. How did you meet? He asked instead. Once I went into the mountains to collect medicine and almost fell down a steep slope. She suddenly came down from the sky and saved me. I am very grateful to her. She saw the medicine in my medicine basket and asked a few questions. Maybe she thought I still had some medicine left. She was very talented, so she gave me some advice. Coincidentally, we met again later, and she said we were destined to accept me as her apprentice. Shenyazi was blindly telling nonsense. He Buzzy looked thoughtful, and Shenyazi was afraid that he would ask her another question that would damage her brain cells, so she simply asked him, you said my master saved you, how did he save you?